Hello everybody and welcome back to Contractor Truth. I am John, the Contractor Growth Guy, and I am the host of this auspicious podcast that is quite possibly the lowest budget podcast in history. Still no fancy studio, still no producer, not even any sponsors other than me, and still no budget for bumper music. But, in big news, we have a new microphone. So if that slightly tinny sound that you're used to hearing is gone, that is the reason why that's gone. So we're going to make this work as we always do. That's really what it's about, is making it work. And that is kind of the contractor way, isn't it? And we kind of do the same thing here. So figure it out with what you've got and keep moving forward. So before we jump in, just a quick reminder that you can now find me on TikTok and YouTube as well. There are a few YouTube videos that are only on YouTube. Just search John, the Contractor Growth Guy. We're also on Instagram, as most of you know. Most of you probably found us there in the first place. And if you're looking to improve your sales process, your lead qualification, closing ratios, follow-up systems, and overall business performance, check out the Contractor Authority training system that I have built. It is a growing library of training videos, worksheets, PDF resources, and practical tools designed specifically for contractors just like you. I am adding new modules constantly, at least once a week at the current time. It won't always be that pace, but I am very, very aggressive about building that library and increasing that value to all of you who listen and are interested in locking in your membership rate. By the way, right now it is $29. Now, depending when you listen to this, the price will continue to rise as new modules are added. But whatever price you lock in for is the price you get it at for life. So let's get into today's episode. And I don't know why this is, but for some reason lately, I've been thinking a lot about stress. It's very personal to me, and I'm not going to go into a whole lot of details about that here and now. It's an interesting topic because most contractors that I know of genuinely love what they do, and they wouldn't really choose to do anything else. I know I love what I do, and I loved it when I was a contractor. We love building things, we love solving problems, we love serving customers, we love creating something out of nothing, and many of us started our businesses because we wanted that freedom. Then somehow we accidentally built ourselves jobs where we work 60 hours a week and answer text messages while standing in line at the grocery store. So much for freedom. But because we enjoy the work, and I've learned this personally, the stress doesn't always show up the way you might expect. It's not always obvious. And what I found in my experience is because I loved what I was doing, I didn't feel that it was stressful. I looked forward to getting up in the morning. I was excited about new projects. I was excited about sales. I was excited about developing my staff and my human resources. I was excited for new tools and new equipment, investing in the business. It was exciting. And what I found was, because it was exciting, because it didn't feel stressful, because it did feel fun most of the time, the stress snuck up on me. And I think that's a big deal, and maybe you'll identify with that, because when you're doing something you love, it's easy to convince yourself that it's not stressful, but you are busy, you're working hard, you're pushing through, and then one day you realize you're exhausted, you're short-tempered, you're distracted, you're carrying a weight you didn't even know you were carrying. And the reason why this has been on my mind recently is because I had a conversation with another contractor not long ago, and he shared a very difficult period in his life when the stress became absolutely overwhelming. Now, thankfully, he came through it, and he's here to tell the tale. His marriage survived, and I think he indicated to me that in many ways it's stronger than it was before. Now, that's not always the case. He's one of the fortunate ones. I think there is an absolute graveyard of marriages in contractor world, and that's something I would do everything in my power to help you to avoid. But anyway, listening to his story reminded me of something. You see, this business, whatever it is, whether you're HVAC or you're an electrician or a plumber or a landscaper, it can be incredibly rewarding, but it is also at the same time incredibly demanding. Because as a contractor of any kind, you're wearing a dozen different hats every single day. You're an estimator, you're a salesperson, a project manager, you're customer service, collections, human resources, sometimes even a marriage counselor for employees. You're an occasional amateur psychologist. And sometimes all that's before lunch. So today I want to talk about stress management, not from the perspective of an expert or the perspective of a therapist, because I'm neither of those things, but from the perspective of a contractor who's been through very stressful seasons and has found a few simple habits that have genuinely helped. We're going to talk about sleep, we're going to talk about planning, and we're going to talk about creating space to think. And later in the episode, we're also going to shift gears and talk about something that is definitely not my area of expertise, and that is technology, artificial intelligence, digital marketing, some of the incredible tools that are available to contractors today. I had a fascinating conversation recently that opened my eyes to what is possible in that world, and I think you're going to find that interesting. So grab a coffee, put your phone on silent, unless you're listening on your phone, in which case that would be a terrible idea, and let's get started. The first segment I want to talk about today is something that has had a bigger impact on my stress level and my productivity and my mood, and honestly my overall quality of life than almost anything else. And that is the subject of sleep. Now, before you tune me out, turn this podcast off, I can already see the completion rates dropping. Just, I can hear you, John, I didn't come here for a lecture on what time I should go to bed. Hear me out, please, please, please. Because for years I thought the answer was getting up earlier. And I am an early riser. I love 4 o'clock in the morning as long as I've gone to bed early enough the night before. I thought that all successful people got up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I thought the secret was another hour of work. I thought the answer was pushing harder. But I've come to a different conclusion. The secret isn't necessarily getting up earlier, although I still recommend that. The secret is going to bed earlier. And there's a huge difference. You see, a lot of us contractors wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. I'm so tired. We brag about how little sleep we get. I was up till midnight. I did quotes last night till 1 a.m. I was working all weekend. As if being exhausted somehow makes us feel more successful. But, let's be honest. When was the last time you made your best decisions while you were exhausted? I've made plenty of business mistakes, underquoted jobs, hired the wrong people, chased bad leads. I've spent money in marketing that didn't work, but very few of those mistakes happened when I was rested, focused, and thinking clearly. Most of my stupid mistakes happened as a result of being fatigued and stressed and tired, because everything feels harder when you're exhausted. And one of the things, this is how it manifested in me, was procrastination. Put stuff off because it was stressful. When you're exhausted, even good customers seem difficult. Even good employees can seem frustrating. Every problem seems bigger, the future seems darker, the stress feels heavier, and often nothing has actually changed except your energy level or your fatigue level. And I've noticed something over the last couple of years. When I get a good night's sleep, spend some time walking, get outside in the morning, and start my day with some quiet time, I handle problems differently. I take things in stride. The problems don't disappear. I just respond differently. And that's important because stress doesn't come from problems alone. Stress comes from how we perceive problems. Now, I'm not saying everybody needs to get up at 5 a.m. Some people act like if you're not posting selfies at 4:17 in the morning beside a cold plunge and a kettlebell, you'll never succeed. I don't buy that. What I do believe is that consistency matters. Going to bed at a reasonable time, getting 7 or 8 hours of sleep, getting up consistently at the same time, getting some morning light before you start your work. Those simple habits have an enormous impact on our physical and mental health. Think about it. Most contractors start their day early. Anyway, a lot of you guys are on the job site at 7 a.m., so I don't have to talk to you about early mornings. Suppliers open early, crews start early, customers start calling early. So if you're staying up until midnight, doom scrolling, playing games, video games, watching the news, watching YouTube videos, you're basically stealing tomorrow's energy. And that tomorrow version of you is going to pay the price. I once heard someone say, you don't win the morning when the alarm goes off. You win the morning when you decide what time you're going to bed. And I think that's very true. I sound like, sorry guys, if I sound like dad talking here, I've lived this. And it's going to become clear why I'm going through this in a bit. I've noticed another benefit. The early morning hours are peaceful. Nobody's calling, nobody's texting, nobody's asking for a discount, nobody's asking if you can sharpen your pencil on a quote, nobody's requesting your 7th revision before they've even hired you. It's quiet. And that quiet allows you to think. Some of my best ideas have come to me during an early morning walk. Not at my desk, not staring at a screen, walking, praying, thinking, planning, musing. And I generally believe that many contractors are trying to solve productivity problems when what they really have are energy problems. They're looking for another app, another planner, another system, another productivity hack, when actually what they just need is a few good nights sleep. Now, obviously that doesn't solve everything. If your business has no leads, sleep isn't going to magically create them. If you're losing money in every job, sleep won't fix your pricing. If you've hired terrible people and made bad hiring decisions, sleep won't suddenly make them great employees. But sleep gives you the clarity to solve those problems, and that's the difference. I've reached the point where I view sleep, exercise, faith, and consistency as business tools. Not just health tools, but they are business tools, because the quality of your decisions determines the quality of your business. And the quality of your decisions is heavily influenced by the condition of your mind. So here's my challenge for you for the next week. Don't focus on getting up earlier. Focus on getting to bed earlier. Turn off the phone, turn off the TV, get some sleep, get outside in the morning, take a walk, and see what happens. And you may discover that your biggest productivity problem wasn't time management at all. It was actually energy management. And that's a very different problem to solve. Now, I want to move into something that I have found to be one of the most productive habits that I've developed over the last few years. And if you're listening to this and you're a contractor, great. If you're not a contractor, this is also going to apply to you. This is so easy, so simple, and so not complicated. It's not an app. It's not artificial intelligence. It's not some secret productivity hack. It's something I call my Sunday night reset. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, yeah, this sounds just as boring as the last section, okay? Hear me out, okay? Because this simple habit has probably saved me hundreds of hours of wasted time and a tremendous amount of stress. You see, most contractors, and I was like this for a little while, we start Monday morning the same way a lot of people start a road trip. Jump in the vehicle, start driving, you don't even know where you're going. You know how it is? Monday arrives, the phone starts ringing, emails start flying in, it's pent up over the weekend, right? The customers have questions, employees need this, they need that, suppliers need answers. Before you know it, you're reacting to everything instead of leading anything. And you can get overwhelmed with that. You got a busy week ahead of you, but at the end of the week, you're not entirely sure what you actually accomplished. I have been there more times than I have not been there. In fact, if I'm not careful, I can still end up there. And that's why Sunday evenings have become so important to me. Now, I'm not talking about spending 3 hours in front of a spreadsheet. I'm talking about taking 30 to 60 minutes to intentionally prepare for the week ahead. For me, it usually starts with reviewing my calendar. Where am I supposed to be? What appointments do I have that I know? What appointments am I waiting to hear back on? Who am I meeting with? What deadlines are coming? What follow-up calls need to happen? What projects need attention? Nothing complicated. I'm just trying to get a structure and a framework of my week. I'm trying to eliminate surprises, because here's something I've learned. Stress, in my life at least, often comes from uncertainty. And when you don't know what's coming, everything feels urgent. When you have a plan, most things become manageable. Then I look at my priorities. Not everything I could do, not everything I should do, but a few things that absolutely must get done this week. Because here's the truth. Most of us struggle because we have too much to do. Let me say that again. Most of us actually don't struggle because we have too much to do. We struggle because we haven't decided what matters the most. When everything is important, nothing is important. I can say that again. When everything is important, nothing is important. One of the biggest mistakes contractors make is confusing activity with productivity. You can spend 12 hours working and accomplish very little, or you can spend 8 focused hours working on the right things and move your business forward in big steps significantly. And the difference is clarity. And clarity does not happen by accident. It usually happens during quiet moments when you're thinking ahead. And that's, for me, what Sunday night gives me. Now, it could be Saturday afternoon for you or Saturday morning. But that gives you space to think, space to plan, space to prepare, space to get in a position where you're ahead of it. You lead your week instead of chasing it. Now, I'll be honest. There have been weeks when I have skipped this. There have been weeks where I've had plans Sunday that have taken me late Sunday night and I haven't been able to do it. But every time I miss it, Monday feels different. I feel scattered. I feel rushed. I feel reactive. And it's almost like showing up at a job site without your tools. Can you still work? Yeah, you can, but it's going to be harder than it needs to be. And I think that's how a lot of contractors live. They're capable, they're hardworking, they're talented, but they're operating without a plan. So every day becomes an emergency. Every phone call becomes urgent. Every interruption takes them off course. Meanwhile, the contractors who seem calm and organized usually aren't smarter. They're just more intentional. They spent a little time planning before they started moving. One thing I also do during my Sunday reset, not every single week, but as often as I can, is just to sit down and review my goals. Not my 5 and 10 year goals, just the current goals that I'm working on, because life has a way of distracting us. You spend months putting out fires and suddenly realize that you're no closer to where you wanted to be. The weekly review keeps that destination in view. It reminds me of what I'm here for, what I'm building, why I'm working, and it helps me make better decisions during the week. Now, here's the funny thing. People are always looking for productivity secrets, looking at a new app, a new planner, a new system, a new gadget. Meanwhile, one of the most powerful productivity tools available is simply sitting down for half an hour and thinking. Get that phone away, stop scrolling, stop watching videos, don't answer emails, think, plan, prepare. It's not exciting, but it works. And honestly, most success and most steps towards success are not exciting. It's just the result of simple daily habits that you repeat consistently. So here's my challenge for you. This coming Sunday and every Sunday after, set aside 30 minutes. Review your calendar, review your priorities, review your goals, and make a rough plan for the week ahead. And then see how Monday feels. My guess is you're going to feel more focused, more confident, and a lot less stressed, because the best weeks rarely happen by accident. They're usually planned before they begin. So I know this has been a different episode, and it's been different on purpose, because we can have all the systems and lead qualification and sales closing techniques down. But if we get destroyed mentally and emotionally, we will not be effective in those areas of our business. So I am protecting this and helping you to protect it, because I've been there, I've lived it, I've been that guy, and it can get very serious in a hurry. Now, I want to shift gears big time for this next segment. I was introduced to a pretty amazing, I'll call it a system this week, by someone that I've known for a while now. And honestly, it blew my mind. So before I go any further, I want to clarify something that if you've listened to me at all, or maybe you've had a discovery call with me, or maybe you've interacted with me online, I think you already know this. I'm not a huge tech guy. Like, I know how to get by. I barely know how to update an app. Okay, half the time my kids are explaining technology to me. And every time my phone asks me to update something, I'm the kind of guy who clicks remind me later till it becomes a hostage negotiation. And then when somebody starts talking AI architecture and digital infrastructure and hyper-local market saturation, all these fancy terms, I kind of my eyes glaze over. Like, yeah, well, where do I plug this thing in? But anyway, as I'm talking to I'll call him my friend, my acquaintance, as I listened, I started realizing something. Like, his terminology was probably over the top and probably a little extra sizzle on the steak. But underneath all the marketing language was something genuinely fascinating. It got me thinking just how incredible it is to own a business right now. Like, I don't care if you're a roofer, a landscaper, painter, deck builder, remodeler, electrician, plumber, HVAC, whatever you do. You have access to tools today that just were unimaginable 20 years ago. Like, think about it. 20 years ago, if you wanted more business, what were your options? You bought newspaper ads. 20 years ago, we were starting to get into social media a little bit, but you had a website, you wrapped your truck, radio was big, and radio still works. You stuck signs in intersections and, hope the bylaw officer was off that day. That was marketing, right? Today, you can literally have systems working for your business while you're asleep, and that's wild when you stop and think about it. One of the concepts I was introduced to in this conversation was the whole idea of hyper-local visibility. Now, that's a fancy way of saying this. Imagine somebody standing 3 blocks from your house searching for a contractor, then somebody else searches from the next subdivision, then somebody searches from another part of town, and somehow your business keeps showing up as the obvious answer. Not because you're spending thousands every month on ads, but because you've strategically built a digital presence that covers your market in a way most contractors never even think about. So when I heard that, I thought, wait a second, okay, that's possible, because most contractors still think in terms of one website and one city page. Meanwhile, there are people building digital footprints that are far more sophisticated than that. Then we got talking about speed, website speed. There are a lot of websites out there, sadly, that aren't loading fast, and it's a major issue. So, I was going to say some contractor websites load slower than my mother-in-law getting out of a Buick, but I digress. Before anybody gets offended by that, I love my mother-in-law and take very good care of her. The point is that customer expectations have changed. People expect everything instantly now, and businesses that understand that have a huge advantage. Another part of the conversation we had was about AI, and some of you just rolled your eyes. I get it. Every second YouTube ad right now or social media ad is telling you, how AI is going to change the world, and I believe that is probably correct, and I can see it. But let's strip away the hype. Imagine every lead in your business getting an immediate response. Every missed call, every website inquiry, every text message, every after hours message. Imagine nobody waiting until Monday morning for an answer. That's not science fiction anymore. That's available right now. And here's what really hit me. Most contractors aren't losing because they're bad contractors. They're losing because they're still playing by yesterday's rules. They're competing exactly the same way they competed 5 and 10 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago. The guys who are going to win over the next decade are not necessarily the best craftsmen out there. And it's unfortunate, okay? If you're one of the best craftsmen out there, call me, because you should be winning, and you can win. It's not going to be the cheapest contractor. It's not going to be the biggest contractor. It's going to be the ones who are willing to adapt to the tools that are available. Ones who are willing to explore new opportunities. The ones willing to ask, hey, I wonder if there's a better way to do this. Now, I want to say something about this, because does that mean that every marketing company out there is now telling the truth? Absolutely not. Don't even get me started on that. I think the only thing more offensive to me than being called an internet guru is being called a marketing company, okay? Absolutely not. There's a lot of shysters out there in the world of internet marketing right now. And some of them, many of them don't mean it. They're just over-promising things. Does it mean that every shiny object is worth buying? No, absolutely not. There's still a difference between the steak and the sizzle. And contractors need to learn how to tell the difference. But don't become so skeptical that you dismiss every new idea either. Because some of what's happening right now in our world is genuinely remarkable. The technology, the tools, the opportunities, the ability for a local contractor to compete like a much larger company, that part is real. And frankly, it is absolutely exciting. So if you're listening to this and you're curious about some of these concepts, like, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. And I mean that. No pressure, no sales pitch, no obligation, because I get nothing out of it, right? It's just a discussion about what's possible today and whether any of these ideas can help your business grow. So, like, reach out to me. Let's book a free discovery call. Let's talk about it. But even if you don't implement any of it, I think you'll walk away seeing your business and its opportunities a little differently. And if nothing else, maybe someone can explain to both of us what a forensic digital interceptor actually is, among many other things. Anyway, that's really it for today's episode. I wanted to keep that shorter and sweeter and address some of the intangibles of our business. And I won't do that very often, I promise you, because I realize that's maybe not what a lot of you come here for. But I do want to help your business in a holistic way. And if there's one thing I'd like you to take away from this conversation, I put it this way. Your business needs a healthy owner. Not perfect, not superhuman, just healthy. And by healthy, I mean healthy all around, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. The reality is that better sleep, better planning, better habits won't solve every problem in your business, but they'll put you in a much better position to solve those problems when they happen. And while technology, AI, marketing systems, and all the other shiny new tools can be incredibly helpful, none of them are a substitute for a clear-thinking, good decision-making contractor who isn't running on fumes. So this week, maybe go to bed a little earlier, take a walk with your spouse, spend a few minutes planning your week, turn your phone off for a little while. The world will survive, and so will your business. I promise you. In fact, if your business completely collapses because you didn't answer a text message at 10:47 p.m., we probably have bigger issues to discuss. So thank you for taking part of your day to spend it with me. And if you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you'd share it with another contractor who might benefit from it. Again, find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, by searching Contractor Growth Guide, Facebook as well. If you'd like to learn more about the Contractor Authority Training Program, or you want to book a free discovery call, reach out. I love doing them. I love learning about your businesses. I love interacting with my listeners. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and remember, the goal isn't just to build a successful business. The goal is to build a successful life. And we will talk to you next time. Thank you for listening.